Lily of the Valley.
Oh, the flower? Oh, I love that flower, but it's poisonous. I wonder what the Queen is going to do with it. Hi everyone! This is the fourth song already in the Queen 50 series, Lily of the Valley, and Vlad tells me that this is the second shortest song in all of Queen's works. The other one that is shorter is just shorter by a few milliseconds. So, what is this? 1 minute and 49 seconds, a short little piece of music. I'm curious to see what it is. So, let's just dive in. Oh, actually, no, I'm supposed to read the background information that he gave me, so let's do that first. The song is believed to be about the 1835 novel Lily of the Valley by Honoré de Balzac. I've not read that novel, so I don't know what it is. Freddie loved French novels and the French language. Okay. The lyrics refer back to Seven Seas of Rye with the line, "Messenger from Seven Seas has flown to tell the king of Rye he's lost his throne." Oh, wow. So, some cross-references happening in the music and even carrying on the story, perhaps. In a 1999 interview, Brian May told the British music magazine Mojo, "Freddie's stuff was so heavily cloaked lyrically, but you could find out just from little insights that a lot of his private thoughts were in there, although a lot of the more meaningful stuff was not very accessible. Lily of the Valley was utterly heartfelt. It's about looking at his girlfriend and realizing that his body needed to be somewhere else. It's a great piece of art." Interesting. Well, then, let's dive right in and see what it's like.
Baby, you've been had. I am forever searching high and low, but why does everybody tell me no? Neptune of the seas, an answer for me, please. The lily of the valley doesn't grow. I lie in wait with open eyes. I carry on through stormy skies. I follow every course, my kingdom for a horse. But each time I grow old, serpent of the night, relieve me for a while and cast me from your spell. Let me go. Messenger from seven seas has flown. To tell the king of Rye he's lost his throne. Wars will never cease. Is the time enough for peace? For the lily of the valley doesn't grow.
That's utterly beautiful. This makes me want to try to play the song. It's absolutely breathtaking. I really love it. Let's go back and listen and pause along the way. I guess I want to point out some of the things that just made me want to go, "Oh, that's amazing. It's absolutely beautiful." You know, it reminded me of Love of My Life. And even if I hadn't have read this background information, it would have still reminded me of Love of My Life. And I find that so interesting because it seems that both of these songs had to do with his girlfriend and with his personal feelings. I guess that can help us get a window into his soul and his feelings affection and love for his girlfriend, as well as his own personal struggles. But the fact that they both have so many similarities in the way he sings, the style, and I feel like, of course, I can't say this with absolute certainty because I never knew Freddie, but from what I've seen of him as a performer, or heard of him as a performer, both. I've watched the Caballé duo with Barcelona, and I saw him on stage, and I'm hearing him in this music, and he seems like, when it comes to music and performing, he is utterly open. It's not an act. I have commented in these recent songs about how he just comes alive, and he's fireworks and electrifying to hear, to watch. But I don't feel like it's a facade. I feel like that is genuinely Freddie and who he is, and I feel like that's why it actually works so well. And so I feel like when we hear something in his music, we can take it as being genuinely Freddie. When I hear him sing this, I feel like I'm really hearing his heart about how he feels. And when I put that along with Love of My Life and recognize that he treats both of them quite similarly with his voice, then I think we can be quite confident in assuming that he is expressing his true self in this context. Anyway, let's go back and listen to and see. I want to show you some of the things that just really, to me, were absolutely beautifully done.
Baby, you've been
It's interesting the way it starts so abruptly, almost as if there was something cut off at the beginning. I don't know if that was because they didn't like what came before, or...
This is the original recording, and it was a cross fade.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. That explains it.
Baby, you've been
And this piano part reminds me so much of Love of My Life. The same style of piano where you have this kind of rocking back and forth, swaying feeling, and some chords, bom, da-dum, bom, da-dum, bom, da-dum, bom. It's very much the same piano ballad style that I remember from Love of My Life, which was the very first Queen song I ever heard. There's so much happening here, even at the very beginning. This guitar that enters makes me think. It reminds me of. Well, let's listen to it again.
Baby, you've been
It makes me think of, kind of cross-reference in my mind to Mozart's clarinet concerto, where there's this long note which the clarinet holds out and it grows into, and I almost expect this to be doing the same thing here in the guitar, but then it cuts off so abruptly. But it does make me remember Mozart's clarinet concerto.
You've been
And I know it's taking a while to get past these first few bars, but I like these little touches of percussion here. Just very delicate, atmospheric, just a little bit of texture almost like, do I dare say, glitter. And then there's one other thing right here. I want us to listen to this because there's something very special happening in the piano chords at that point. Let's blow this up here so I can draw this out a bit bigger. But listen to what's happening in these chords. It's as if there's a hidden melody. Bum, 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 bum. And maybe it starts on this C. It's probably this B, this A. And then it could be this A and this E. See if we can see all of that. Let me play it on the harp for you so you can hear what I'm hearing in these chords. And why am I hearing it? It's because what came before was so straight and simple. We have an A minor chord and another A minor chord and another A minor chord. And then suddenly, right here, it gets a bit more complicated. And we have this sequence of chords that and the complexity comes from these added notes that I've circled here. And it creates this sort of hidden melody. Or we could even, let's listen to the piano again and see which notes are being brought out. We could even take it a little differently. We could take it that way as well. We could say that we hear the E more clearly in this moment. That's kind of what the piano is bringing out there. Do you hear that? Listen again. It's kind of tricky to pick out. Bum, 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 bum. And this little hint of a melody here is the first hint of the melodic quality that's so beautiful as this music begins. We just have this swaying, rocking piano back and forth, and then hidden in the chords, there's suddenly this little clue of what is yet to come. Da-da-dum-bum-bum.
You've been had. I am forever searching high and low.
I love that. That is such a beautiful, beautiful line here. I am forever searching high and low. Such a simple phrase, and yet sung so beautifully, sensitively. Absolutely lovely. And the way he bends a note here or there just to fall gently. So special.
I am forever searching high and low. But why does everybody tell me no?
And when he gets to this why, but why? This piece of music is so saturated with beautiful little details. But why? Why is on the peak. It is like he's saying, but why? The why is right up here, as if it's an exclamation of why? I don't understand. Why? At the same time, it's beautifully set after this first opening. I am forever searching high and low. Low falls on the low note. And when we get to but why, it's kind of echoing the idea of high and low. High, why? The word high, even though when it's sung, I am forever searching high, it's kind of in the lower range. High and low, we settle on the low, but why? And because high and why actually have a very similar sound, then when we hear why, it also makes us think of, I'm searching high. And so we hear both the low and the high range of his search.
I am forever searching high and low. But why does everybody tell me no? Neptune of the seas, an answer for me, please.
Listen. When we have this Neptune of the seas right here, well, it's actually very similar to what we just noticed in the piano at the opening in those chords. Which is kind of like, why does this little 4-note bit that we heard in the piano chords at the very beginning, right up here, was a foreshadowing of this 4-note descending figure that comes back over and over again. Not only here, those 4 notes, but also these notes, which come again. And so that pattern of descending 4 notes was kind of hinted at before we even got to the melody. Again, it's one of those little details that makes this such a pleasure to hear.
But why does everybody tell me no? Neptune of the seas, an answer
4 notes.
please. Lily
notes.
of the valley doesn't know.
And then we're back into this piano. Dum, dum, ba-da, dum, dum, ba-da. But another thing that stands out to me is the way he's extrapolating and extracting a phrase out of these 4 notes. The 4 notes, a descending 4-note pattern, like we heard in those piano chords. And then, why does everybody tell me? 4 notes, and then Neptune of the seas, an answer for me, please. The same 4 notes. The lily of the valley doesn't. And notice that it's the same 4 notes here. Lily of the valley. But instead of stopping there, he carries that on a little bit longer. Doesn't know. And it's a wonderful way of creating a recognizable tune that also can be built off of and grown by adding something to the tail of it, like he did right here. It's absolutely lovely.
For me, please, the lily of the valley doesn't grow.
And I love the way the chorus emphasizes certain notes, like please and valley, to give a little bit of extra sweetness, extra harmony, extra love to those notes, those particular words in the lyrics.
Neptune of the seas, an answer for me, please. The lily of the valley doesn't grow. I lie in wait with open eyes. I carry on through stormy skies.
Oh, this is just great. This is so good. So we had, up until this point, primarily descending lines. And it felt very comfortable, very soothing, very, very natural and easy. We had the peak on why, but then it started to descend again, which means right here, when the direction reverses, we feel it very acutely. It becomes something very important.
I lie in wait with open eyes. I carry on through stormy skies. I follow every call.
And then finally, we start to descend again. Follow every... What's the word there? I follow every course. I follow every course. But this line here, this ascent, there's also something I want to talk about here, which is, I haven't really talked about this much on this channel yet, and that is the idea of modulation. Modulation is a word that we use in music to simply mean moving to a different key. Well, what does that mean? It means that in every piece of music, we have a note and a chord that feels like home. That's where we belong. That's where our journey begins. That's where our journey ends. And very often in these short songs, and I've discovered that a lot of rock music is quite short, and this one especially is short. In these short songs, we don't have a lot of room to go somewhere other than center around home. But when we can move in the music so that it feels like the place that was home is no longer home, but our home has moved to a new location. For example, let's say that this chord, the C chord, is my home. That's like the way this song began. And I can play other chords. And this, when I arrive back at this chord, sounds like home. I can go. I feel like I've arrived at home. If I go from here, we don't feel like we're home, like we've concluded our journey, like we are where we belong. We feel like something needs to come to take us back home. When we modulate, that sense of home belonging to this chord moves. Suddenly this chord no longer feels like home. Let's say I want the F chord to feel like home. Right now it does not. But I can, with a little detail, make it feel like home. If I play this chord that was home, and I add one little note, now it feels like I belong here. Suddenly, this feels like I've arrived at home. That is what feels like I have to go somewhere And then I've arrived home. I feel like I've said the end. I've arrived. But have I arrived? I'm not on my home court. I'm not on C. At least not the home that used to be home. I have moved locations. Now this is home. That is what we mean when we say we modulate in music. And this little line here is a beautiful example of a very smooth, nice modulation. He starts out by singing. And then I have a B flat. And suddenly this feels like home. I'm in F now. It's reinforced here. At this B flat again. And this chord that was home, the C, feels unfinished at this point in the song. When we modulate, it makes it possible to feel like the music has taken us on a greater journey, more of a journey. There's more of a sense of direction, a sense of having gone somewhere, a focus, and then when we bring it back home at the end, there is this feeling of the completion of a greater journey than if we simply sit statically in the same key all the time. What I find so incredible about this modulation here is that this is such a short song. It's under 2 minutes, and yet it doesn't feel out of place. He is taking us on this journey. We're traveling, we're going somewhere, and the music reflects that.
I lie in wait with open eyes. I carry on through stormy skies.
That's the special note there.
Follow every course.
Here it is again.
My kingdom for a horse. But each time I grow old, serpent of the night.
And then when we come back to this figure, which we've heard before, da 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 dum. Instead of feeling like we are beginning somewhere, we feel like we are now gradually coming back to the place that we began. Listen to this whole passage again and notice how it just feels like it carries us off somewhere.
I lie in wait with open eyes. I carry on through stormy skies. I follow every course. My kingdom for a horse. But each time I grow old, serpent of the night, relieve me for a while and cast me from your spell. Let me go, messenger.
That's wonderful there. So we have this da 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 dum, da 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 dum, which is what we heard before up here earlier. Da 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 dum. And remember what he did when he sang, "The lily of the valley doesn't know." But this time, when we get through the repetitions, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, bum 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 bum, instead of doesn't know, dum bum bum. Suddenly, we are waiting and we are going towards something else again. And then, as the music swells behind it, as those drums come in, which are so well placed.
Relieve me for a while and cast me from your spell. Let me go.
And this one. We arrive at this grand declaration. Messenger from seven seas has flown. It could almost feel celebratory if it weren't for this sense of somehow, even though it's so beautiful, it's so sweet, there is a feeling of pain and sadness behind it all. And notice also, when it comes to messenger from seven seas has flown, where did we hear that before? We heard it at the beginning, not quite the beginning. The first phrase, which I said was so lovely, I am forever searching high and low. If we get rid of I am forever searching high and low, suddenly we have messenger from seven seas has flown. The same melody. And so, one of the reasons this is so incredibly effective is that the way this repeated four-note figure, da dum bum bum bum, da da dum bum bum, da da dum bum bum bum, ba dum bum, big swell, and then messenger from. It's not only effective because it transitions so beautifully and everything carries us up there, but also it's because it's the same melody and there's this sense of arrival and returning and recognition, even though this time it's not the opening, it's not this sweet, gentle I am forever searching high and low. Instead, we feel like we've come from somewhere. We've been traveling. And it's not the start of the journey. It's the continuation of the journey as we go and we arrive at this grand declaration of the King of Rye has lost his throne.
My kingdom for a horse, but each time I grow old, serpent of the night, relieve me for a while, and cast me from your spell. Let me go, messenger from seven seas has flown.
Notice, so much happening there. I love this. The string section doing this grand flourish up to tell, this tell, which happens here, to tell the King of Rye. Where did we hear that before? It was, why does everybody tell me no? But now it's to tell the King of, the way he places a word at a certain point within the musical phrase to make it work so incredibly well. I guess I don't know whether this was done music first or lyrics first. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, one was composed especially for the other. This peak of the phrase is so well placed, not only musically, but also lyrically. To tell the, listen to it.
Me from your spell, let me go. Messenger from seven seas has flown.
And suddenly, he's lost his throne, and the music descends very rapidly and comes back to a very quiet ending. But we have this grand arrival first. And all of this is bringing us back home as well. Because remember, we traveled to this other location. We had a new home. Now all of this is returning us back to the home center that we began with. Now we're back to the four notes.
Is the time enough for peace? The lily of the valley doesn't.
That's what we heard before. This note was our original home. It's so incredible that in less than 2 minutes, we've traveled all around the world, all throughout the universe. We've gone to mythological places. We've visited Neptune of the seas and Serpent of the Nile. We've traveled stormy skies. The King of Rye, the messenger has flown, the King of Rye, even imaginary places. We've been through it all in this short space of time. But not just the ideas and the lyrics, in the music as well. Because the music has carried us high and low, and we've experienced the grand flourish and the messenger of Rye as he's flown, and we've experienced even a different home in the music in less than 2 minutes. This is really, really beautiful, well-crafted, and incredibly satisfying music to listen to. Well, I guess you can tell, I hope you can tell, that in just this short space of line, I've kind of fallen in love with this song. The first listen of it, straight through, I was, wow, this is amazing. And as I went back through and started looking at the details and pulling it apart here with you, I hope you can see a little glimpse into why it sounds and feels so incredibly amazing. Now, before I finish up, let me just remind you that at the time that this comes public, I will have already done a number of further recordings, and you will find them all on my Ko-fi and Patreon pages, membership pages. If you want to hear them ahead of time before they also come public, you're welcome to check that out. But in closing, I want to say that I guess this is going to become one of my favorite songs that I've heard so far. Very quickly. It's going to go on that list. It's going to be one that I know I will return to it just to listen to it for the pleasure of listening. It's so rich, and it's so beautiful, and it's so complex in its ideas, and the music and the lyrics work so well together, and it's just a great piece of music. As Vlad keeps telling me, Queen is incredibly versatile, diverse. Clearly so. At the same time, Queen seems to be, from the very beginning, consistently creating incredible music. It's not just that they're diverse, it's that each one is very well done. Well, I can't judge quite yet because I've only heard a few. But as I'm beginning this journey, I haven't heard one yet that I think is dismissible. This one is a very special song. I hope that I've been able to explain to you a little bit today of why it feels so special. even to a newcomer like me. And well, I'm eager to continue, and I'll be listening to more very soon, and you will find them all where I told you, and of course eventually they will come public, and let's see where this goes. I'll see you soon.